Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another weather forecast here by Agent Weather Forecast. This is going to be another tropical update here on the potential tropical disturbance that can possibly form in possibly either the next 24 to maybe next 36 hours here. So it's very likely we can be seeing this become an invest very, very soon, and possibly even a tropical depression later in the weekend. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. We have, of course, major updates on actually a lot of the models here, including the wind shear, the winds, vorticity, even the general radar here, future radar. So we have a potential new updates and also some new updates on the potential area of landfall. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Also, be sure to share the channel. We are 2 subscribers away from 2,230 subscribers, so please hit the subscribe button and share the channel to anybody that you think will either be in the way of this or that you think will be impacted by heavy rain. We're going to possibly see some flash flooding, very strong winds, power outages, and much more likely for parts of the Bahamas and Florida. Without further ado, let's get into this video. So as you can tell, we still have nothing whatsoever on the 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook here for the Atlantic. And there's not really much to have anything in the next 5 days, but this could very well change with an invest likely that we'll possibly see on here maybe in the next 24 hours. I would not doubt it. Maybe even in the next 18 hours. So this is again nothing right now, but very likely we'll possibly have something possibly right here where that could potentially develop and then possibly move towards these areas as well. Of course, if this does become named, this will very well start this our Atlantic hurricane season really early. So even if we don't have a name, maybe if it's just a tropical depression, maybe it's so possibly gonna obviously bring the sign of potential early development and early start off of the hurricane season, especially the areas in the Gulf. So this is very well likely going to be starting off really around, we're going to be seeing that really the amount of precipitation starting off by maybe Friday night. But here we're looking later into Saturday, really in the morning. Here you have this massive system. As you can tell, this thing is massive. Here we have the center of the system right here. Let me actually change this. Here we have the center of this potential, maybe invested tropical depression here. And here you're going to be seeing that's actually the wrong one. So here you're going to be seeing this very strong, really outer bands likely surrounding this. So this is going to be a really big rainmaker throughout areas into Mexico, parts of southern Texas. But this is where we have that potential worst of the heaviest heaviest rainfall. As we move later into now Sunday, this is when things get very interesting. Look at this major system. So it does seem the potential landfall is actually delaying, so that could very well change the outcome of this, and also very well maybe impact where it's going to actually make landfall, maybe even impact exactly how strong, whether it's going to weak or not. So if this does delay, the wind shear will come in within just hours of it developing, so this could very well take it down. So this is by Sunday morning. We have that very big, the middle of this is actually now moving towards the central areas of the Gulf. But here we have these outer bands affecting areas like Cancun and affecting all the way up into areas like Corpus Christi. So again, very widespread. This is definitely looking like a pretty big system for either a tropical depression or a weak tropical storm. Later by Sunday around night, really in the evening, really like right in the overnight hours. Like this is like really like around midnight. We're gonna be seeing this possibly make landfall, as you can tell, in areas like Naples. Maybe just south of Naples, maybe into the Homestead areas, maybe going to affect parts of the northern Key West and Miami. So as you can tell, a massive system can bring in rain all the way from Mexico down to the Bahamas. So let's say the Bahamas, you guys can also get very heavy rain. This may not be a tropical storm, but you can't rule out the possibilities for very strong wind gust. Flooding. Again, this is going to be saturated soil, and we're missing a ton of rain. So let's say we get 6 inches with 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That's going to absolutely take down trees, possibly power outages, flash flooding, storm surge. So it's very big impacts that we can just see, even if it's just a tropical depression. And that's going to bring extremely heavy rain, very long-lasting rain as well throughout the Bahamas and parts of the Caribbean for a very long time, maybe like 24 to 48 hours after landfall. As we get same thing, the European model. Here we have a later Saturday, the potential development here. The European actually says kind of the area of our focus, or the center of this, is actually a bit lower, closer into areas just off the coast of Mexico instead of Texas. As this does moving out to Sunday, Here we have the system, of course, out there into the central Gulf of Mexico. Of course, going to bring in rain throughout the Bahamas, Cuba ahead of time, maybe even seeing some rain out there into Jamaica, and then seeing a ton of rain as well into Mexico. So very widespread snow with this, or not snow, very widespread heavy and extremely heavy rain here. And as we get later into now Monday morning, so actually this is where we have now a bit of a concern. Models are not showing the exact same time, but the European does show it now making landfall around Monday. So as you can tell, we're going to be seeing extremely heavy rain now for areas into southern and central Florida, and even seeing a really heavy rain behind this. So that can bring this extremely heavy rain for Monday. So looks like Monday is going to be the worst day based on what the European is showing, and it shows that for the GFS, it is showing possibly the overnight hours into Monday being the worst of it. So we're gonna be seeing obviously very heavy rain for areas in Bahamas and the coming hours. So this is not going to be landfall and done. This is actually going to make landfall, stick around for a while. It's not going to stall. Just the outer bands are going to take a while to actually move away. So it's not going to be just there and gone. It's going to be there, stays for a while, then it starts to slightly move, then gone. So as we now look into the 10-meter wind here, so this is like right on the surface. This is not like really high in the atmosphere, so it's not like stronger winds than it is. So as we look here, it looks like we do have a lot more winds now, possibly seeing up to 32 knots here, which is just under a tropical storm force wind. So here we have, of course, it's also not only do we have some very strong tropical depression winds, but we also have in a circular formation. That's Sunday. As we move later to Sunday, the system kind of looks like it actually now going just south of Florida with the winds. Of course, models show the heavier the rain over here, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the worst of it. That could be a very strong outer band. So as of right now, it looks like the strongest winds will be going just south of Florida, which is actually a huge change here that can possibly fall apart right as it goes over the Key West. So it's like Key West, the Bahamas, you guys might get impacted quite hard. And then that's where we'll possibly see this very strong wind as well throughout the northern Bahamas. So based on the winds, obviously you can't base it off just the winds, but based on the winds, with the wind showing, it's showing just affecting maybe just Key West and far southern Florida, maybe just in between Cuba and Florida. As we now look at vorticity, you want to see that really those red, that orange, and very dark red colors for vorticity, which is rotation, cyclonic rotation. That's what you want to see. You mostly want to see on circular rotation. You don't want to see just like that. That's just a big band of wind. You want to see in a circular rotation. Here we have that on Sunday over to the Cancun Peninsula and all of that. And that's going to possibly, of course, now move into now central Florida. And here we have this main system. Here it is right by Monday. Here it is possibly affecting just the Key West. So this is possibly a huge change and could definitely cause a huge change for impacts and landfall. And it does show you going straight over Homestead, Florida, just south of Naples, and then just going south of Miami, really. So that's what we're seeing there. And then we could possibly have something very interesting. That's something very interesting right here. But it doesn't look like it's much of right now. But it looks like it might actually avoid Miami. It might avoid, it's not going to avoid it completely, but it's the strongest and the really where the tropical depression is. We'll still have outer bands. Now let's take a look at this rainfall. Look at this. You can definitely see the track with this. As you can tell, we're going to be seeing up to 18 inches now. This is actually increased in rainfall compared to yesterday. Like I said, the Bahamas, you guys are going to get hit really hard. This time, instead of Dorian hitting northern Bahamas, this is actually going to affect really the central Bahamas, really the bigger islands as well. So as you can tell, this is kind of what the track is based on the rainfall. So this is our potential track. So as you can tell, Florida's still in this, but it seems like the worst of it, just based on this, it seems like it goes south of this. It kind of looks like it goes this way instead. So that's what it looks like. The potential risk for affecting Miami, Naples have gone down a little, but you guys are still going to be seeing really strong wind gusts, really extremely heavy rain, flash flooding, storm surge, and all of that. But just based on where we've seen the heaviest of the rain, it looks like this is the potential track. This is just based on the rainfall and also the winds and even vorticity. So it does seem potential landfall has changed to the south a little bit, but still going to be seeing extremely heavy rain total is going to be seeing around 5 to 6 inches out here throughout Florida. Just off the coast, we'll possibly be seeing 7 to 8 inches of rain. And other scattered areas into the Atlantic, we'll be seeing up to a foot or more, up to 1.5 feet right here into the Bahamas. Right, we're going to be seeing up to 19 inches of snow of rainfall, which is absolutely crazy. That will do so much damage. And can you imagine if they get hit with the worst of the winds? Now for wind shear. This is what I'm saying. If the really the development does delay a couple hours, so maybe instead of forming maybe Saturday or tomorrow, maybe it becomes a system or a depression by Sunday instead. So as you can tell by tomorrow, we have very, very little wind shear in the area of potential development. Again, we're still seeing wind shear. I'm not saying we're not seeing wind shear, but it's a lot, obviously, lower than this and then this. So, of course, wind shear does take down hurricanes and tropical systems. It kind of just not only weakens them, but it really makes them very unorganized because it kind of just takes apart those really the organization there. But as we now get later into Saturday, and by Saturday, really, the system's going to be maybe around this area by Saturday. Look at this. We have a lot more wind shear now coming in from the Gulf or coming from the Pacific. A lot more wind shear here. So that can possibly definitely maybe make the risk for a tropical storm really a little bit. It kind of varies, really. It seems like this potential chance for maybe a stronger or a very, very weak tropical storm, or even getting a tropical storm in the first place. It looks like it does seem to possibly die down, but it could possibly become a subtropical storm. As you can tell, wind shear is very, very high throughout these areas in the Gulf, and as you can tell, by Sunday, it's going to be around here by Sunday, and that's like right in the possibly up to 70 to 90 knots. And as you see now, by later into Monday, when it does start to affect southern Florida, it looks like wind shear does die down a little bit. So I'm not saying it will, but it's likely in those really warm waters that it could possibly strengthen right before landfall. But of course, I can't say that as of right now. And then we'll have wind shear take over, so definitely fall apart right after that. And that's what we're going to be looking at there. Now we look at SST here. So this will be the last thing. As you can tell, we've seen this very, very warm waters here, especially with that potential area development here. Seems the warmest waters are just in the northern Gulf. But what we saw earlier, where we had that bluish color, that's now gone. So it does seem waters are definitely warming up. But of course, it's really the warm waters are useless when you have a lot of wind shear. So we still have to. We can't say, oh, it's warm waters, we're gonna see a huge tropical storm. Like, what do you mean, Adrian? But of course, it's like Cape without really the cap. It's like Cape, really strong Cape with really very strong cap. So obviously, if it's very strong cap, it'll make that high Cape values useless. So obviously stop the development. Same thing here. So hope you guys enjoy the video, and bye guys.